Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the third episode of IIIE School of Economics Alumni Interview Series, which I have been conducting with some distinguished members of the old alumni of International Institute of Islamic Economics at the International Islamic University, Islamabad. My guest today is someone who has been part of the history of IIIE right from the beginning. Brother Ejaz Nadeem belongs to the first batch of IIIE students when actually IIIE did not even come into existence. It was just School of Economics at that time, and Brother Ejaz, he was one of those who became part of the history. I would like to go to him direct by asking him to share with us what he has been doing since he left the university in, I believe, 1988. But before that, I would like to request all of those who are not a member of IIIE School of Economics Alumni Forum to kindly join us in this forum, which is a WhatsApp-based group set up for intellectual and social conversations around Islamic University, School of Economics, IIIE, and of course about Islamic economics, banking and finance, and any other economic affairs facing the world, especially with a reference to the OIC countries. With this one, I would like to go to Brother Ejaz Nadeem and ask him to tell us what he has been doing since he left the university in 1988. Assalamu alaikum, Ejaz bhai.
Walaikum assalam, Amayyo. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. It's actually, I don't recall much that we had much interaction in Pakistan when I was there. We might have, but it's not. But it's also my honor to be speaking with you because I know a lot about you and what you have been doing over the last couple of decades. Especially in the field of Islamic economics and all that. So it's also a privilege for me to have been doing this for you, and thank you for inviting me. Your question, what I have been doing. So I left, you're right, I arrived at Islamic University in 1981, and I left in 1988. So since I wanted to do my PhD in economics, but I'm not as smart as you are. So when I came to Canada, it was for higher education, for masters in economics leading to PhD. That was in 1988, and I came to University of Alberta in Edmonton, one of the coldest places on earth. So if you imagine coming from Islamabad to Edmonton. However, I went through all of that. I did my master's, and then I realized that I am not an academic person. And then I got into the financial services industry in Canada. And since then, I've been working in this industry, which is investments, investment management, and all that. And then now I am in an executive position in one of the financial institutions in Canada.
Excellent. Very good. I have very clear memory of meeting you in the university. Of course, you were our senior. You would not recall. But I found you one of the Karachiite students at the university, and the first batch incidentally had quite a few of you, Dr. Rizwan Tahir, Dr. Salman Sayyid Ali, and yourself. So I came from a rural Punjab background, So we used to look up to the guys from Karachi as very sophisticated, learned, those who come from scholarly background. So I have that memory of yourself. But then you left, as you said, in 1988, and I continued to finish my studies at the university. I left IIIE in 1991 to pursue my PhD at the University of Cambridge. Because you are a member of the first batch, can you please share with us the story of you coming to the university? At that time, no one must have heard of this new venture, new initiative. Who introduced you to the university and or IIIE?
Very good question, Humayun. It was 40 years ago today that I started my process of getting admission into university. So I think it's around March, April, that a friend of mine in Karachi mentioned that there is this new university is being opened, and there is this economics department where they want to do some really nice things. And at that time, I wrote my second year intermediate exam. I was trying to get into medical school, but it didn't look like that I'm going to have quite the grades to get into medical school because it was quite high requirement. So I was searching as to what I should be doing. And this friend said, why do you want to do sciences? Go into this new field, and is being done by some really great people like Professor Khurshid Ahmed and others, who are spearheading that. So I said, okay, I'll apply. So I applied to the university, and lo and behold, a couple of months later, in some time, I think around June, July, I receive a telegram. At that time, that's how they used to communicate. So I received a telegram that says that my application has been received and I'm being invited for an interview to Islamabad. I have never been, to Islamabad. I have been to other places in Pakistan, but not to Islamabad. And that was a good opportunity for me to go visit. So I said, okay, what the heck, let's go. And so I went to Islamabad, and when I, arrived there, there was nothing. Like there was
Right.
just a building with some construction going on. There is, a whole bunch of equipment there, construction equipment. And Faisal Mosque wasn't even fully constructed. Like it was, just a very, very basic, foundation that was laid at that time. So quite surprising as to where we are. Anyways, went there, had the interview. It was with Dr. Fahim and Dr. Tahir, Dr. Munawar Iqbal. Those were the main people. And they said, okay, we will let you know if you are selected. I said, okay. So came back to Karachi, then again got a
Right.
telegram that you have been admitted, and I packed up my bags and went to the university.
I would like to ask this, or you had your classmates, Dr. Salman Sayyid Ali, Rizwan Tahir, and others. Did you know them before joining the university, or they became your friends and you met them at the university?
I met all of them at the university. I did not know anybody when I first came to university. Although these
Right.
guys were from Karachi, but I had no connection with any one of them.
So this Karachi group was formed at the university.
That's what you could say.
Right. Okay. So when you went to the university, what happened then?
All right. So first of all, you have to get admission into the hostel. Since I was coming from Karachi, it wasn't a problem. You just have to go stand in line and sign up. So that was okay. Don't have much memory about that. The most I can think about, it's been 40 years. So the most I can think about is when we first got there. As I said, there wasn't a whole lot of infrastructure there. So first day, uh, when I got there, they said, "Who do you want to be to your roommate?" I said, I don't know. So they put me in a 3-bed, room.
Right.
And I don't really recall who were my first roommates at that time, but they were not from Karachi, and that didn't matter to me. I think there was Manzoor Gondal in that room from Gujarat, and there is another individual from another department that I don't recall. So that was the room. Then you get up next morning. Now, where are you going to go for breakfast? So if you remember, when you go towards Margala Hills, there are 3 buildings past the university, which is which used as a hostel. Those were initially the apartments that they made for probably people who would work at the university, but they converted them all into hostels. So there is one structure in the middle that is called Darus Saada. The
Right.
one on the right hand side is Darul Haq, and then Darus Sidq on the left hand side. So this Darus Saada, it was a big house with, I think, 3 or 4 bedrooms and kitchen and things, and a big courtyard and foyer. So that courtyard and foyer was the first kitchen and the mess for people to eat. Now there is no tables, no chairs, nothing. So in the courtyard, Mir Akbar, who was the cook with big mustache, if you remember, he was the cook, and he used to cook in the courtyard. And in the foyer, we will all sit and eat on the floor. So you just go there, sit down, uh, 30, 40 people, and the waiters are going to bring you your plate. And so that was the first breakfast: paratha and anda, the fried eggs. And you can't
Right.
have omelets. You only can have fried eggs, because that's what they do in a big pan. Fry 20, 30 eggs, and then that's all you are going to get. So so that was quite interesting. And but it is also really a surreal, a different sort of an experience, that you probably never had before, with all these people. And it's like it created a kind of a camaraderie, among the people, because we are sitting together, eating together, and all that. So that's my first memory of the first breakfast, in a cold morning in September of 1981, having breakfast on the floor in Darusada.
This tells that you were from Karachi, cold morning in September. Right.
But
Does
Humayun,
it
where I live now,
Yeah.
that cold morning is nothing.
Right.
The temperature in Toronto is way cooler.
That's right. So does it mean that this big dome which used to
Yeah.
be behind Darussaada, it wasn't built at that time?
No, it wasn't there. It wasn't
Right.
there. It was just 3 structures, Darussaada, Darul Haq, Darussaid, and then you have, those mountains. So that was there. And then, the thing is that there wasn't any proper water supply arrangement. So that's another memory. Then, if you want to say, okay, what is your memory? Is that often in the morning there is no water.
Right.
So you get up, and you used to take shower and and all that, but there is no water. So what are you gonna do? So I remember on one cold morning, we got up and there is no water, and people were getting frustrated and fed up that there is no water often. And so how do you think that we should go to the university and study? So we all decided that we are going to protest. So it's not going to be any chanting and any procession or anything. What we did is that we said, okay, we are going to just show up as we are. So people got up, they are in their dhotis and their, all that stuff. And, somebody have their towel on their shoulder. Some people have the toothbrush in their mouth, and all that. And we said, we are going to university. So we all, in a procession kind of thing, very quietly just arrived at the university just before the class time. And Shafai Saab blew his cork, that what the hell is going on? What is
Right.
this? And we said, there is no water. And if there is no water, how do you expect us to come? So this is how we are, and this is what, they sent us back to the hostels. And then they said, oh, we are going to do something. And then Professor Mahmood came, and he is, trying to defend the position that it is not him, it is, and that's true, it's CDA and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, that was a memory that I have, that we all are walking in our sleeping suits with toothbrush in our mouth towards the university for our classes.
Right. I must say that, when I went to the university in 1986, we used to have this kind of impression that you guys, the members of the first batch, you were ladles of the likes of Dr. Fahim Khan, Dr. Munawwar Iqbal, Dr. Sayyid Tahir, and other members of the faculty. So can you share with us what was their interaction with the first batch of the students? How would they treat you?
All right, so I tell you that we were really fortunate to have those people as our professors and our teachers. Um, these guys really had a vision and a passion as to what they wanted to. They were not doing a job. They were not there because they are the professor. They all came to at that time, it wasn't even called IIIE. At that time, it was called SOE, School of Economics. And they
Okay.
all came to School of Economics with a mission. And the mission was to develop Islamic economics. The mission was to develop, a team of new economists who think, along the lines of Islamic economics. So they were very dedicated, and they treated us like, if you have your first son or first daughter, how treat them. So they treated us like that, just like we say in Punjabi, peloti the, so they treated us like that. Very kind, I mean, always available, always helping, but very strict as well, because they didn't want this new crop to fall into bad habits, and not pay attention to what they came. And they instilled in us that vision, that passion that they have. And we all felt, quite frankly, at that time, that we are on a mission. We're doing something which is really, really gonna change uh, the world. And when you are young and motivated, and you have that kind of a feedback from your professors and teachers, you really feel you are, you are special. And that's what we were doing. Also, they were very much involved with the development and growth of people that were there in that first batch. So they have personal, connections with everybody. So they knew us personally as well as to who we are and what our challenges are. And so that I could say that that was the highlight.
Right. And when you left in 1988, already the IIIE had started seeing some kind of, I should say, downfall, if it is not too strong a word. So this means something which started in 1981, within 5-6 years, this started breaking down. In your view, what went wrong in those early days of the establishment of IIIE?
I think that a lot of that was driven by the government of that time. I think General Ziaul had a personal interest in Islamic University, and a personal interest in, to some extent, in IIIE. And I can share with you a couple of, examples and stories on those lines as well, because I have firsthand experience. I not only was a student there for 4 or 5 years, but also for a couple of years a faculty member. And during this time, I felt that it was one of the projects that he wanted to see succeeding. But in 88, he died. At the same time, the politics of the time has had an impact on it. It wasn't deteriorating quite in 1988, but it went downhill after that. So, the cracks were starting to appear, but they were not as visible in that time when I was there.
Right. When I look at the things in a historical perspective, it was a wonderful initiative. In 1981, even Islamic Research and Training Institute, IRTI, at Islamic Development Bank was not established. Mm-hmm. It was established in 1982. So I think the likes of Professor Khurshid Ahmed, who conceived this idea, it was well in advance of time. Mm-hmm. International institute, which would develop foundations of a modern Islamic economic system, mm-hmm. for which they started working in this outfit, and they named it afterwards IIIE. When I look at other developments afterwards, I think this was a pioneering initiative, which even in a way contributed to the development of IRTI. Now we find a number of similar institutions in other parts of the world, like we have IIUM, International Institute of Banking and Finance, set up at International Islamic University of Malaysia. Mm-hmm. And now even government of Dubai is trying to establish a center of excellence of Islamic economy in Dubai. But these guys, they were well ahead of time. About 30, 40 years before these guys started thinking about this kind of institutions, Pakistanis, they had this idea. And I believe if this had been successful to the extent the pioneering figures envisioned it, this would have been a game changer. When I look at the graduates of the IIIE, most of them, they have actually gone into different professions. Very few of them are into Islamic economics, banking and finance, and related professions and businesses. In your view, was it because of lack of training when they were there at the institute that once they finished, graduated, they did not have that kind of strong passion to pursue a career related with Islamic economics, banking, and finance? Or it was lack of career opportunities at that time? So, what
I
could
think
have been?
I think it is the latter. It is the lack of opportunities. Uh, I tell you that when we were about to graduate, the thought process was that when this group is going to graduate, they first of all, the standard of education was so high in those first few batches. If you look at the kind of textbooks that we have been introduced to and the kind of research and things that we have been exposed to, it's not, it doesn't happen in Pakistan and, at the undergrad level. And we have that. And we felt that the crop that is coming out of Islamic, the SOE, is going to be well received. But when some of our friends who got, BSc honors, and then they didn't pursue their, masters or anything, and they decided to go in the field, there is nothing. They have been treated the same way, which they should be, I think, but there was no career path there to say that now you came out, so here, let's look at, here are a couple of things. May not be, a whole lot of institutions, but maybe let's look at, maybe in PIDE, or maybe in, State Bank or somewhere else, where we can get you in and give you some real life experience of what you have learned so that you become better. So they got part of the same old system that was there. And then some of us who continued on to do masters and then PhD, unless you had a passion for academia, which means that you go, you do your PhD, then you come back and you teach in Islamic, economics, there is nothing for you. So I think that's where it starts to break down, that people who were graduating, coming out, and there was no opportunities for them to practice the craft that they have learned. And then slowly it became just another ordinary university, another ordinary institution, because where you go, get your degree, get out, and get a job.
Right, right. Now we are getting into serious conversation. Let's lighten it up. Who was your best buddy at the university?
Well, Rizwan Tahir was my roommate, and he had been my roommate for about, I think 4 years or 4.5, 5 years. So I would say he was my best buddy from that, because we shared a lot of things, and a lot of stories and ideas and things. So yeah, we became really good friends.
And amongst the professors, I know that you would say that all of them, they were like elder brothers or fathers. But if you have to pick up one of them, okay, who would be who would be that person?
Well, I would say the whole faculty of IIIE, but then I would think from a teaching perspective, what I was really impressed was not by a IIIE teacher, but it was Dr. Anis Ahmed.
Right.
And like his style of, teaching in the class, and his style of connecting with people with, is just a different level. And the other one is Dr. Ziauddin. I had the privilege and honor of working with both of them in a very intimate level. And you know that Dr. Tahir Sahab is a very methodical, deep thinker, philosophical in his approach.
Right.
He is, he is miles ahead of a lot of people. And, we were poor 20 years old, sitting in his class. And Tahir Sahab has, you know, a style of teaching that is unique. He likes to come, he likes to write on the board,
Ji.
and then he likes to talk about it and leave. So he was teaching us Chiang, mathematics for
All right.
economists,
ये
and
वैसे अल्फा सी चांग लेके कौन आया था जो है ना यूनिवर्सिटी में?
I think it was Nair Saab. So the book, you know how complicated that is. And I am coming from a pre-med background, not much mathematical inclination. And tires up coming and writing on the board, Chiang's, whatever. So we are sitting and just watching in awe as to what that is. And nobody has any courage to say anything, because Tahir Saab, his habit was there.
जी जी.
So I am, poetic minded, from early childhood. My mother instilled that in me. And, a lot of poetry and ashar, I have that. So, and we used to sit in the front row, me, Rizwan Tahir, Atiquz Zafar, Tasawwur Alam, and a couple other people. We used to sit in the front row. So I wrote on a piece of paper a couplet, and
Right.
that was ज़बाने मीर समझे और कलामे मीर्ज़ा समझे, मगर अपना कहा ये आप समझें या खुदा समझे. That is a Urdu couplet. Its meaning is that I understood the meaning of complicated poets like Mir and Mirza and all that. But whatever he is saying, either he understands himself or his God. So I wrote it down and I pass it on to Rizwan, who was sitting next to me. He gave it to Salman Bhai. He read it. He gave it to Atiq Zafar. Atiq gave it to Tasawwur Alam, and Tasawwur gave it to Tahir Saab. Now, Tahir Saab read it. And I was in the first 10 minutes of the class, right? So Tahir Saab read it. His face got red. He knew handwritings of people. So he looked at me and he said, out. That was an episode, a very emotional episode, because I wasn't expecting that. And he kicked me out of his class. Then he said in his typical way, भाई आप हमारे दिल से उतर गए. So now I know. Now I know that I am doomed, right? And this was in the first, I think, second year or something. But I tell you, Tahir Saab is a very, very fair person. He never used that against me. He always been fair to me. I always got the marks I deserved. I may not have gotten any more than what I deserved,
Right.
but I always got what I deserved. And I always had, he always had an open, door for me, when I go there. So when I first joined the faculty, and it's like 3 years later now, 4 years later, and I am standing at a board somewhere outside reading, okay, what is the schedule, what's coming up. I got a tap on my shoulder. I turned around, it was Dr. Tahir Saab. He said, भाई अब तुझे मीर और मिर्जा की बातें समझ में आएंगी. Now that you are teaching, now you would know what is Mir and Mirza because you have to deal with your students.
Right.
So that is a classic. And that story I tell everywhere I go. I did not have the courage to tell it to Tahir Saab again, although I met with him 3 or 4 times. But that is something that is when I was when I left, not left, when I finished my studies, I was offered a position as a research officer slash lecturer at the institute, and I worked with Professor Manzoor Ahmed. He was doing research, so I wasn't teaching much. I think I taught only 1 or 2 courses. And if you have taken one of my classes, you would know I am not a good teacher. So,
No,
um,
I did not. You did not teach us, so I
okay.
am not in a position to take a view.
so, but in that environment, I was fortunate that I was not a lecturer early on, and I was with Professor Manzoor. So, and he was doing research and he was working with Professor Khurshid and Dr. Ziauddin Ahmad very closely. So, as a result, I became fairly close to Dr. Ziauddin. And if you remember, there used to be a program that he started, which I think a highlight of IIIE is Senior Officers Training Program. It is or SOTP. It was for the grade 20 and above officers of Pakistan government that the institute invite, for a month-long course. And these guys come stay in Islamabad from various, places that they come from. They were grade 20 and above, and they had gone through Islamic economics training. And when Dr. Ziauddin started that, he needed someone to assist him from an administrative perspective. And I was, not a lecturer, so I was being assigned to that task. And I think that has had a profound impact on what I have done later on in my life, because how I learned management, executive decision making, and doing things for a very very high level and at a very high standard. I learned that from Ziauddin Saab, because Dr. Ziauddin had extremely high standards, and if you work with him, you learn a lot of those things, and you get exposed to things that normally you wouldn't have. And I was like a 22 years old guy, and if you are giving that kind of an exposure, it actually changes you. So again, I think that's where I realized that probably my calling is more in management than in academia. So I did not follow through that. And while I was doing that, and I did that, uh, Dr. Anis Ahmed was planning to do a month-long um, international tarbiyah program for Muslim youth.
Right.
And he then approached Dr. Ziauddin and he said, "Could you give Ejaz to me for a month? Because I would like him to administer that." So, you know what, Humayun, if you were given a chance to go to Khanapur, Ayubia, to stay for a month in the middle of summer and help do that program, you would jump on it. So when Ziauddin Sahab asked me, I said that for sure. And through that program, I worked very closely with Dr. Anis Ahmed, and I saw, how he worked and how he looked at things and all that. And there we had the opportunity that one day the president of Pakistan has asked Dr. Anis that I would like to come to see your program for a day. And as his second in command, I was right there. So then I have
Right.
observed, when a head of a state comes, what things that you have to do and how you arrange things. And so I'm saying that, a lot of these small things that may not be a big deal at that time uh, gave me the exposure to a lot of high level stuff at a tender age, which actually shaped my life as to how and I think that it all goes back to triple IE and to Islamic University. If I was not there, I would not have had that opportunity. And some of our classmates, also had an opportunity because we were all learning Arabic, right? And
Right.
Arabic, it used to be that you can only speak in Arabic with our Arabic teachers, and they were very strict about it. So our Arabic really became very good. So in our fourth year of university, there was an international conference of Islamic countries. It was not OIC, but it was an OIC sponsored conference. Where very high level people were coming. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs asked the university that could you send some of your people who know Arabic as protocol officers. So we had the opportunity. So me, Rizwan, Salman, and few other people who were good in Arabic, we were given the opportunity to go and help out. So we were given a delegation as our responsibility. So we used to take them to different places in Islamabad, and then in presidential dinner we went to presidency and have that. So again, think about it, a
Right.
21, 22-year old having that kind of an exposure. So again, would not have it without triple IE and without Islamic University, and the knowledge and expertise that they gave us in terms of Arabic language or Islamic economics and all that, giving us that opportunity.
Right. Let me ask a question in a slightly different way. If you had not gone to Islamic University after your intermediate and maybe you had attended a college or university in Karachi, how different your personality would have been today from what you are now?
I would say significantly different for the worse. Because what was my option as a science, intermediate who didn't go to medical college? The option was take biochemistry or chemistry or something like that, and do what? You know, get a BSc degree in chemistry or something. Then what? Go into that ordinary life, that get a job, do things. Going to Islamic University changed a lot of things. First of all, it took me out of my environment and allow me to go to a different environment and try to flourish there. And that has helped me not only there, but also when I came to Canada, and over the last 30 years, I moved my residences 3 or 4 times. You know, everything became fairly straightforward because I've been doing it, all my life. So no fear of new places, no fear of new challenges and all that. That would not have come. Then, as I said, all these exposures that I had, through all these programs and things that we were able to do at that time in Islamabad, we, again, could not have. So to me, it was a big blessing that friend of mine have told me, oh, go, apply for a new program. And it moved me from the science towards economics, and then allowed me to expand my horizon rather than, staying within, what I just knew at that time and just going through the same route that everybody else does.
Right. Excellent. You have an accomplished life. And I'm not sure when you went to the new campus last time, but I would like to request you to give a message to the students of the university and IIIE now. We, and before me, you, okay, we were part of a vision, we were part of a dream, and we would like to see this dream continue. And the new students, okay, they should be, in a way, torch bearers of what was given to them by those who preceded them.
I don't know if I can give anyone any message, but what I could say is that let's look at and go back to the vision of the university. Let's go back to the vision of the IIIE. And it was designed for, creating scholars and people who actually have a passion for Islamic economics. So if you are there and you are studying at the university because you have a passion to do something different, then I think you will accomplish a lot, and you can be helpful to the university and the university can help you. But if you are there just because this is another place where you can get a degree and graduate or masters or whatever and call yourself that, okay, you have gone through a certain education, then the outcome is going to be no different than anybody else that is doing it any other university, and there wouldn't be any change. So to me, I think yourself, Humayun, and the earlier batches, they had that passion for doing something different, doing something better, making things better. And that's why they have gone through a lot of those difficulties that were there. Like, as I said, no water and, all that stuff. But that didn't bother them as much because they were, fully believing that they are doing it for a better cause. And I think that's what we can take from there.
Excellent. I'm sure we can continue for another 40 minutes, but for the benefit of our viewers, we wanted to have this as a short 40 minutes, 45 minutes interview. So I have to end it here, but I must say that I have personally learned a lot about the early days of the IIIE and this incidence of no water and you showing up in the university in your sleeping suits. So this is a very interesting incident and a very, I should say, sophisticated and civilized way of protesting. Something which is now missing in the Pakistan society. This subtlety which you were part of it has become now very loud. And I believe that, sharing this kind of experiences and incidences, this should remind us that there is always a better way of protesting, better way of making your point. And this is what you guys did very well. I must be thankful to you for sharing these memories with me and through me with the wider alumni and those who have any significant or insignificant interest in the IIIE and International Islamic University in Islamabad. I would like to end, but before ending, I would like to request all those who are watching this interview to please join us in our alumni forum. We call it IIIE School of Economics Alumni Forum, which is a WhatsApp-based forum We discuss a lot of issues of contemporary relevance, and we have some social activities like this interview series. This is a platform which can bring us together not only for social purposes, but also for contributing something to the institution which has shaped our lives in a very significant and productive way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.